draft they decided upon.
We've already seen how sides of the draft can be pretty important, with a lot of teams actually choosing to remain on the blue side, even though red side can have some advantages here and there. But it looks like it's going to be the Mongols having first pick and RRQ Akira having second pick.
Alright, let's see how this is going to play out. Yevon as well as Hilda instantly banned out, followed up by Zhu Xin, as well as Fanny. Seems to be the standard bans here nowadays between both of these teams. I'm expecting Coach Cabral to really be on top of it.
Creativity. We've highlighted this multiple times, but the draft is a lot more open nowadays. Even though we are starting to see a lot of the same heroes again, the way, the order that you pick them matters very heavily in keeping your draft open and your opponents guessing.
Let's see whether or not Chip is going to get let through this time. Are there any other must bans at this point? I mean, they've already got the Jushin as well as the Yve out, the Hilda as well. I think that the Suyo after the nerf isn't as deadly. I mean, yes, it has combat prowess, but at least you can't just like, oh, it's 3,600 HP on the Lord. I can just instantly take it.
Another thing to note as well, we already talked about Renix K's hero pool, but he actually does quite like the magic DPSs. So we saw Lunox, Harith, and Alice in the gold lane during the grand finals against Lilgun.
Oh, that's very interesting. Including the Alice. All right. So first pick here going to be the high loss for the side of the Mongols. RRQ looking to reply. There's many different options here, and I mean, if I close my eyes, cover the team names, I can imagine that this could just be like, I don't know, maybe a Cho plus X.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened in the previous matchup. Cho, pretty good opener, right? Especially now that you can flex him in both Roam and EXP. Gatot has already been banned out, so we won't see that combo, but the Suyo will be locked in here. Will it be the Cho?
We'll see. We'll see whether or not it's going to be the Cho. But the fact that they've already banned Fanny and as well as the Chip does kind of give me an idea that RRQ have a plan walking into this game. King is known to be has known to play the Fanny before. The Chip definitely is always going to be a problem. But this, instead of the Cho, they're actually pairing the Suyo up with the Khalid.
A little bit of a flavor that was recently popping up. Khalid also able to flex into both EXP and roam positions. Very good hero at messing with the early game of the opponents, especially if they're playing a weaker early game assassin jungler. Very easy for Khalid to just walk into the enemy jungle, mess with them because he has very high base damage.
Yeah, that is true, but then the only problem is that if it ends up in the EXP position, Mongols could look to punish by locking in the Phoveus right here, right now. A very good matchup for that Phoveus as well, but it might just be a little too early to lock it in. 6 more seconds left on the clock. Mongols going to be maximizing the full duration time before they go for the lock-in, and it's going to be the Alpha on top of the Aurora. So they're expecting RRQ to be heavy on the engage.
I think this is fine as well. Even if we didn't see these heroes already coming out of RRQ Akira, we already know that they're a team that wants the force engages, so counter-engage with Glorious Pathway and Frigid Glacier would be very nice. But this is actually what you noticed earlier, Gideon, right? The Mongols jersey has armor-inspired designs and the traditional deal collar, blending tradition with esports.
I don't know, see, sometimes men, when they just look at random history facts and they watch like 6-hour videos on it, it comes useful sometimes. Yes, I did watch a 6-hour video on the Mongols. Now, looking back at it, the Luoyi is going to be something that they're going to have to think about, right? Because now RRQ have a lot of global presence. We're expecting that the Mongols are, you know what, they're coming up for the front-to-back, the traditional front-to-back composition, but now with Luoyi, a lot of different angles to flank.
Yeah, I think Luoyi is a very good way of dealing with a team that is known to play a little bit more calculated, because it's very good at forcing mistakes where mistakes would not normally be. The glue getting banned out as well.
You know it. Come on, you know it. You know what they're setting up for. They want Phoveus. They want Phoveus. They want Phoveus. It's so free. It's so free. They've already taken out the Khalid, and at this point, what else do you play in the EXP lane other than the high loss and maybe some other tank, because Gatot is basically gone? It's a free lane.
Well, we know that when the going gets tough, Tekashi likes to go back to Terizla. So that is also a maybe.
Do they actually want to play Trizla into this composition, like as a counter engage? I mean, I guess they could, but I feel like Arlet might just do a little bit better, if not Edith. But Edith is already banned out. Well done, Mongols. Already ahead of me there. RRQ Akira. Let's see what their final ban is going to be.
So one thing to note, the Mongols, they always like to go for a double frontliner kind of style. Oh, actually, RRQ Akira banning out the Phobias themselves, so this is leading me to think that this is most likely a Khalid EXP.
Right, that's kind of interesting to see. All right. So that means the Mongols, with their final ban, so much has been dedicated towards the EXP sector of that map, and I think that at the very least, high loss into the Khalid. Not exactly the greatest, but it's not like heavily in favor of Khalid. It's really just who outsustains the other.
Yeah, very sandbag fight, which can be boring, but hey, if you gotta do what the meta requires of you sometimes. But interestingly, both heroes can still be flexed as well into the roam position, so it's hard to really say for certain right now. And with the show locked in for RRQ Akira, the questions just keep going. Who is going where?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's what the Mongols are currently feeling like. Like, oh man, it's really difficult to figure out who exactly is going to go into the EXP lane at this point. I think worst comes to worst, they just go for a EXP laner who has some decent clear, call it a day, and then focus towards the opposite side of the map. Because again, RRQ Akira are trying to make sure that Gusto Lagusta has a winning lane in gold.
Yeah, not just that, but the draft that they have right now is very formless. It's not your typical front to back. It's very easy for them to skirmish, to go for separate angles with the Loi and the Cho, even separately sometimes. So the Mongols, if they go for a front-to-back lineup, will have difficulty keeping track of things. Something that can open up the map is important, and something that can out-mobilize RQ Akira potentially would be good. So we do see the Wanwan and the Barats.
Interesting. So Wanwan is pretty sick here, mainly because she can pretty much dance around a majority of the heroes coming in from RRQ Akira. And I think that even if they do get on top of the Wanwan, she has the inbuilt Purify, so that's nothing to work with. Next thing, the Barats. Again, as much as we want to believe this is going to be a sandbag, at the very least, Barats can sustain in the lane and clear it pretty effectively. Now RRQ going to go straight into the claw to look to be able to jump into that backline, look for these big bursts, and still be able to kind of distance himself if the crossbow of Tang is activated.
Sticking fully into the formless draft here. I initially thought it was going to be the Bruno from RRQ Akira, just to bully 1-1 early on.
That's
but
what I was thinking too.
They're going straight for like heroes that can all be independent, all take care of themselves, and just play on their own sides of the map at any point necessary. This is going to be a tough draft to pull off, but if they're able to do so, it's hard for the Mongols to keep up.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because I feel like the Mongols, their plan is very, very straightforward. My problem with it is that can it scale in comparison to RRQ? Because as formless as they are, they have a lot of pack-a-punches in their comp.
That is true, but only one team will be able to reign supreme after taking into control all of the factors here. Let's see whether it is RRQ Akira or the Mongols who will claim victory in game number 1 of our final match here in the M6 Wildcards Day 1.
All right, let's see how this is going to be played out. RRQ Akira on the red side up against the Mongols on the blue side. They're going to be starting on the same side of the map. Orange start for Zetsu and King. Going to be on his purple. They want to end up towards the gold lane here, which is going to be interesting because now it just means that EXP finally going to be left on an island.
Yeah, compared to the previous game where you saw a clear EXP laner that would be able to unlock themselves quite quickly, in this game we have double sandbag with the Khalid and the Barat, so both teams focusing on the gold lane a little bit more instead.
Guys, don't forget the M6 Pass is available as of right now. Complete all of the activities. Honestly, just keep playing the game to reach level 75 for free and get some pretty incredible rewards.
Including Claude's battle emote, M6 Glory avatar border, and new special skin, Baxia Dauntless Shield for free. I'm sure you guys already know, so we're not gonna punch it in a little bit too much. For now, not too much happening here before the first turtle spawns.
As it should be, you know, it needs to be formless, it needs to be cool, calm, and collected here. But in terms of raw rotations, both teams, you know, keeping up with each other, both junglers really being the pivotal point on the direction of which they need to rotate.
Yeah, both these junglers are very active. Even back when Suyo was a must-pick or ban, Alpha was commonly picked up as a way to counteract him because this is just a hero that is instantly able to start fighting quite early on with that true damage. So at this point, it's a pretty classic matchup here in the jungle, and it all depends on who's able to get that snowball started.
And now, one more thing that we need to point out is that the recent changes towards Claude specifically. His Art of Thievery, base damage, oh, hold on.
Lin, okay, he got stunned by the Blade Surge, but it is a high-low. He doesn't even use his Revitalize yet, but he doesn't have level 4. Neither does Mikey. A beautiful Flicker Daytona's welcome, but a beautiful Flicker Raging Sandstorm by Tekashi into the backline. Bankai's initiation completely negated as RRQ Akira take over the Turtle Pit and continue chasing. Frigid Glacier comes out. Two-man freeze. That's going to be one final hit from Luis, though he trades his own life in return for it.
Oh my goodness. I'm surprised that Tekashi is still alive there. I definitely thought that this Ballista minion was going to get one more auto, if not at least the orange buff to swing that, to swing and hit it. But even so, it's a 3-for-1 trade, and RRQ Akira, that was an extremely clean fight.
Yeah, really well played by Tekashi especially. Bankai did a really nice initiation, but the rest of the team grouped up to try and follow up on the Daytona's welcome, and that just set up beautifully for the Khalid to come in with his ult.
Really swept the Mongols at the legs, right? Oh, hold on. They're going to be able to get Litho Wanderer at this point of time, but the next point of attack, I'm not entirely sure, right? Because after playing around the first neutral objective, are they just going to be passive, or are they going to look for maybe a couple of gank opportunities, or go for the traditional send Khalid to the other side, Suyo goes down to the bottom, and maybe look for a dive?
And based on what we know on paper about these teams, the Mongols are going to be slightly slower in terms of where they approach things, but will try to find advantages where they can, while RRQ is a bit more on the flashy side. So we would expect them to be the ones starting to make things happen, especially when they have all their cooldowns ready.
See how it's going to go, because again, these neutral no-man land creeps going to be contested here ever. And I mean, the information is always going to be key, but at the same time, Tekashi and as well as a Bankai not really getting much done at this point other than when they are in these team fights.
Yeah, the EXP lane becoming the island it always was known for. Divergent though, gonna visit that island. Daytona's welcome, use the dash away. Really nice reaction from Bankai.
Good stuff. That's what you want to see. And both, actually, wait, let me just double check something real quick. I want to see, did both EXP laners, yeah, they're going at the exact same rate. Both of them completing the Thunderbelts at the same time and opting to actually go for the Warrior Boots. Interesting choice.
Yeah, both of them are pretty tanky, so they don't really have to worry about CC. In fact, if they can force it on them instead, they would be quite happy to take it. RQ though, gonna be the first ones to rotate over it and start pulling the turtle to their side. Zetsu a little bit behind, but the rest of the Mongols are already here setting up a shop. Tekashi looking for the off flank. Yin Yang reaction on Shenlin. The kick, but Revitalize, use Raging Sandstorm, dodged away by Mikey. Zetsu steals away the turtle as the Mongols take out Tekashi, who is way too far from the rest of his team.
Yeah, that's that is actually so unfortunate. One Revitalize making the difference from Shenlin to keep him alive, but again, a lot of battle spells being used. Rinix K, at the very least, his damage, a lot of it just came through the Inspire for him to actually blow through Tekashi. And I think that Luis, really good initiation, but unfortunately Revitalize is just that good in the early game.
Yeah, Mongols are very specialized in playing double frontline heroes. They have two tanky boys, which is the Hylos and the Barats. So if either of them get kicked, they're actually quite okay with it. And RQ Akira, their damage is right now very burst-based, so the Mongols have a little bit more consistent DPS over time.
And so far, they've matched up against each other on the top side of the map, making sure, again, no initiations have been started. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer here. I'm expecting Bankai to maybe look for an engagement of his own, or is it going to be Shenlin? Because again, there's a lot of patterns. They haven't really formed patterns in the way that they engage. So far, it's very, as you mentioned, formless. They're being like water. They're just waiting for these opportunities before they unleash.
Yeah, I think especially after the first fight as well, the Mongols may not be trying to force things anymore because the counter engage on their side is just a lot stronger. And if they can force RRQ Akira to spend resources running at them, then, well, we see Sagan get taken out here. Not even sure how he got picked off like that, but Zetsu is going to instantly follow up with a double kill on King 2.
I thought maybe he got flickered upon, but no, it's just the raw Daytona's welcome. He just hit it nicely, and they made a call and they caught 2, which is a little sad to see because that means RRQ Akira is going to lose a decent amount of tempo only for a bottom tier 1.
Like I mentioned, the Mongols have pretty good counter-engage options with these 2 tanky heroes, so RQ actually may need to stop stepping on the gas a little bit and refocus their efforts elsewhere, because this turtle is going to be very easy for Zetsu to claim.
Yeah, and I mean, the double tank lineup, the most annoying part of about it is that if you want to go for a marksman, she's a little too mobile. The Wan, hard to catch. If you want to go for their mid laner, there's 2 fat tanks just waiting to counter-engage. So I think at this point, if RRQ is looking for any point of punishment, it has to be towards the jungle.
It's tricky to do so, though, because RRQ Akira doesn't actually have the best ways of engagement. They're relying on Luis and Tekashi, and while Luis is very good at separating people from their team, Tekashi is hoping that the Mongols stay together so they can hit them with a big raging sandstorm. So because of that, the positioning becomes a bit more difficult. This is what we were talking about. Raging Sandstorm on top of Zetsu, taking a lot of damage from King and Sagan, but the dive's still not enough. And now the Glorious Pathway comes in from Shenlin. Bankai in the backline. Detonas flickers in, finds King, stuns him against Sagan, and sets up for a double kill to Mikey.
Well, I don't know why Sagan bothered sitting in that bush. It was just, I mean, worst comes to worst, you just keep walking out of there. Your tier 2 is not that far away, and they're going to lose a mid-tier 1 off of it as well. The Mongols just going to quickly just raid from top all the way down to the mid-side of the map.
I like how Bankai basically just made Sagan experience yin-yang reaction himself.
Yeah.
He just threw his teammate at him.
Again, Sagan should not be sitting in that bush. There's no reason for him to sit there any longer than he could, especially since that once the Daytona Welcome has connected, you basically have anti-CC, so that's not stopping anytime soon.
RRQ Akira now definitely on the back foot. 4K behind the Mongols, who have been doing a great job of responding to their aggression thus far. And yeah, I think they are living up to what we mentioned, right? Very calculated rotations, very clean and slow gameplay, slowly taking over the map.
Let's see what the next move is going to be, because passiveness, yes, it's great, and it's also good to be reactive against your opponents, but I'm not seeing a lot of forced errors coming out from the Mongols. Are they applying that pressure to RRQ Akira to force them in a position where they have to make a mistake if not lose everything?
We'll see, because the Lord is at 30% HP already. Mongols blitzing it down very fast. Shenlin taking a lot of damage, but Rory's Pathway comes out with the Revitalize, and it's just like nothing ever happened. Clean from the Mongols.
Yeah, so funny. Bankai just standing inside the Lord Pit to try and deny space and an angle for King to go in, or even try to get out if he gets swallowed up by the Daytona's Welcome. Regardless, the Mongols will be able to secure it, and if they continue to keep up that... Wait, actually no, still stolen away by RRQ Akira despite all of that happening.
Yeah, all things considered, RRQ Akira not actually that far behind. 3K at 10 minutes is a very surmountable obstacle, especially since in that previous fight, they were allowing Gusta Lagusta to just farm up the top lane. This Claude has been unaffected the entire game, is going to become their late game win condition, so the Mongols still have to respect that somewhat.
I mean, they're going to be losing a decent amount of economy that they build up only because of these Lord-empowered minions. I would like to see a replay of that most situation again. I didn't think you had the range to get in it, so either it came out a little too late or...
Flicker Jikundo kicks the Aurora, but the Glorious Pathway just splits off the rest of RRQ Akira, so killing spree for Zetsu. Passive popped on the mid laner. Daytona's Welcome Flicker once again, not able to get the stun onto King, but no worries, the rest of the team is there to help them with that. That's 2 members of RRQ Akira down.
Man, this is really frustrating. I can understand why IHC, or otherwise known as Lil Gun, lost to the Mongols, because the Mongols, they don't really give you anything, right? Until they turn it around, and then it's too late. You don't know what the conditions are there that they're looking for, and more so, if you're just slightly out of position, you can expect them to force it upon you.
But RRQ Akira is actually uniquely equipped to be able to deal with a team with this playstyle. A formless draft means that they can play every part of the map at once. Yes, they will probably have to sacrifice a couple of bodies to make it happen, but as long as Gusta Lagusta can continue scaling up, they can still actually take over because the structure score between them is not that different.
It may not be different, but this 3.6k lead coming in from the Mongols hasn't really been moving too far forward. And we're already at the 11th minute, right? So even if the Mongols do hit that initial item power spike, I want to see how they really go, how exactly are they going to capitalize on it? Because we do see that at least from Renix, he does get the winsome nature. He's not going for the Trinity build. Opts to go for a early Malefic Roar, which I respect a lot. Trinity build completed by this Claude, looking to extend it to a Malefic Gun.
Yeah, Malefic Gun gonna be very useful in Claude as well, especially against a comp like this that can quite easily run you down. That extra rage could make the difference. Diversion play with the full 5-man. They found Renix K and stunned him instantly. He cannot escape that one.
Yep, players, they gotta learn, they gotta learn. You don't check the bushes on your way around, you're gonna get punished for it. Really, really unfortunate there. But now that the Lord has spawned, and since that Renix K is already down, I think that RRQ Akira should look to take position.
Absolutely. This is the best timing, especially with Gusta Lagusta pushing up that top lane as well. Shenlin being forced to stay behind to deal with it. Blitzing the Lord now, right now, is an option, but they'll go ahead and zone out Bankai just to be extra safe. But is that going to be the right idea? These few seconds could give them away of the dragon. Louis is just keeping Zetsu in place. He cannot come and steal the Lord, so it will go over the King. Mikey gonna get shut down by Gusta Lagusta as he goes in, does the damage necessary. Bankai just barely escapes himself, and another flicker out from Louise to get out cleanly.
Really difficult spot RRQ Akira put them in. They weren't entirely sure how exactly they were going to get in towards that pit side, but at the same time, it almost felt like they were just trying not to give an angle to Luis, but at the same time, you got to give it to Luis. He did. Oh my goodness!
Ouch.
Whoa! Where did Renix K's health go?
Gusta Lagusta has hit his power spike definitely at this point, and the Mongols, although they've been playing with a tanky lineup so far, in this meta especially, a Fed marksman can melt frontliners so fast. These next couple minutes going to be crucial.
Going to have to wait here, trying to sync up the waves. At the same time, Mongols are responding accordingly to minimize the damage of these Lord-empowered minions. Finally, the lead actually coming back to RRQ Akira as expected. It's not like the Mongols had a devastatingly large lead anyways, but let's see if we can at least... Oh?
Diversion, purely as a diversion here to let the Lord crash into the top inhib. Glorious pathway to zone out the rest of RRQ as the Mongols deals with the Lord. They're not going to lose their top inhib, but they will lose their mid tier too. And they are still split up right now. Luckily for them, Luis, no flicker, so he's not able to make a play.
Okay, so no structures left other than inhibitors for the side of the Mongols. They are only 1.3k behind. Honestly, that's not that bad. RRQ Akira, it feels like at this point, the way that they're playing their draft is really, really good, especially if they have access to the backline. So they just need to allow themselves to find these flanks. And without any turrets around, it just makes it easier for them to find it.
Yeah, now this is a bit of a problem for the Mongols because we can actually see that they are playing very closely together. This is a front to back, so they have to be grouped up as 5, especially with the threat of diversion looming over their heads. But that just gives even more time to Gusta Lagusta, and Bankai missed his Datona's welcome. Diversion play comes in on the opposite flank. They're gonna get the knock up on Bankai. A beautiful Raging Sandstorm into 4 members, but Takashi is way too far in front. Winter Crown only delays the mega kill to Zetsu.
Yeah, say again, he needed to quickly run up forward. Doesn't have much movement speed. He isn't able to close the distance in time, despite Takashi having an incredible engage onto the majority of the members of the Mongols.
It's actually just way too fast. We have seen this before. There are players who out-tempo their own teammates at times, and that can cause disconnects. That was not something that needed to happen, especially with a 4-man Raging Sandstorm. But RRQ Akira are still in control for now. Louis looking for an XK. Shenlin is here to stop him, but this is a big collapse. As now Bankai comes in, Wave the Dragon, gonna be purified by Renix K as he pops the Wind of Nature, jumps in, not able to get Crossbow of Tang, as the BMI is used by Claude to get away, but not able to escape from Mikey. And now RRQ Akira are caught out with their pants down. Bankai gonna be traded away. Sagan almost trades Renix K, actually does do so at the end before losing his own life. 2 for 2 trade.
Nicely done by Sagan, making sure that he's putting his back against the wall so that Riddick's can't get that very last weakness point to go into the crossbow of Tang in vulnerability form. But at this point, with this 2-for-2 trade, especially since the marksman has been taken out from the side of RRQ Akira as well as the Mongols, they probably are just looking for position with no real commitment.
Yeah, this is a fairly even game state right now. The net worth lead in RRQ Akira not actually that big, but they do still have all of their tier 2s standing. So it's going to take longer for the Mongols to rush in, but they'll go ahead and find Takashi anyway. Unstoppable. Way of the Dragon kicks Mikey right into the hands of King. He loses his passive. Luis still has immortality up. Diversion pulls Gusta Lagusta in. King gonna trade Mikey away. Killing spree for the Suyo as RRQ Akira comes out on top.
They continue to start pressing their advantage forward here. They need to get this Lord as soon as possible. They're even popping Revitalize to stick on top of it.
Lord dropping very low now.
No.
A full team knocked up into the yin-yang reaction. Zetsu still able to take the Lord, but that did not need to happen. They almost lost everything.
Oh my goodness, that would have been super upsetting. And King was threatening at least an inhibitor.
And now Riddick Cage is going to chase him down. King able to heal up quite a lot there, but that's a shutdown on the Suyo.
Very, very decent shutdown as well. Actually, no. He probably didn't have much bounty gold on him. He's already died 4 times in this game, and it's not like he was able to accumulate it further than that. At this point, we're already reached the late game. Oh, TP just to kind of open up the map. Commits to it as well.
Gusta Lagusta going to be sent to the bot lane.
BMI.
And just BMI is back. That's the Claude Loyi combo for you.
You know what's really upsetting? Whenever somebody uses conceal, or you're putting like BMI's very, very close to the wall without giving the idea of where the circle is, it's actually pretty difficult to see.
Yeah, that is one of the tricks, right? Something that you don't really think about unless you play a lot of the hero, but here comes the Mongols. They want to get the tower with this Lord. Will be able to clear the top tier 2. Yin-Yang Reaction doing a good job of chunking them out and preventing them from pushing with another wave, but they're evening up the tower score now. All external towers on the map are gone.
Now we're back to phase 1, square one. 18 minutes of this game, and now we're getting into selling your boots and starting to swap out items. That's all the economy is going to be used for. A Windtalker purchase for Gusta Lagusta to speed up that wave clear while at the same time pumping up some decent damage. Not to mention that when we look at the damage taken, Bankai as well as Shen Lin taking the most. Almost identically even. Wait, hold on. 5 at 6,000. No, there is a slight difference.
It's about 5,000 damage difference, but we can see how much work they are doing. Again, the Shenlin Bankai duo frontline for the Mongols is a very classic maneuver by them, and normally would lose a lot of effectiveness now that we've reached this stage of the game where all of the carries are close to full build, but they're still doing a good job of managing their positions.
Now, be dancing back and forth, just waiting for somebody to make that first initial mistake. They're going to be clearing up the top side of their map, trying to look for position on this Lord, but it's only coming back up in 45 more seconds. Mongols parallel to them on the opposite side.
These teams may be surprisingly a bit more even than we thought. The Mongols being a little bit cleaner, unfortunately, they're relying very heavily on 5v5s means that they lose a lot of map control. But RRQ Akira has made a number of mistakes that have prevented themselves from taking over in the late game, even though they did a great job of scaling up to that point.
Dance around. If they do, double checking the last couple of items here to see if there's anything else out of the ordinary.
Oh, hold on. They've walked into the brush. A Jikundo knockup. They found one. That's going to be none other than Riddick K, but he's able to walk away with the Doros Gold Meteor Shield. And now Akira are getting dismembered, but they're able to trade for Gusta Lagusta. We still have to remember, they do a lot of damage on this Claude. They found Shen Lin. This is a 4v5. The rest of RRQ able to get away. Riddick's careful, loses immortality to the yin-yang reaction and walked way too far. Sagan punishes him. Takashi gonna be taken out as well. Monster kill for Zetsu, as now King wants to chase them down and finish them off. Gusta still pushing the bot lane by himself, so the Mongols have to get away. Diversion play from Sagan, tries to keep Zetsu in place, but he misses out on it. Winter Crown though keeps him alive, as the rest of RRQ are playing as formless as they need to be. Mikey, the only survivor, easily dispatched, and that means that this is going to be a full team wipe on the Mongols for RRQ Akira. An easy and empty path straight into the base. Game 1 going over to RRQ Akira.
Oh, good stuff. Great. Honestly, the game just boiled down to how you space against your opponents in these team fights. And finally, we see that the Mongols make that mistake. Tanks just a little too close to their mid laners, a little too close to their junglers. That splash damage coming in from Sagan, really putting some good work on top of Gusta Logusta, comboing straight away as the initiation happens.
And that was a rare case of the Mongols actually making mistakes in positioning. The fight actually seemed to be leaning towards their favor because they were doing so much damage, but when Renix K tried to jump the gun and got picked off, all of the DPS on the Mongol side just disappeared alongside him.
I think that, I mean, as much as I want to believe that the Mongols are in a position where they can actually kind of hold on in the way that they did, the Gold League never surpassed 4, maybe even 5,000 for the Mongols, right? I felt like a little too much passiveness is coming out of them, especially with a composition that technically plays really well into tempo after your mid-trio starts pushing outwards.
Yeah, there was something missing. There was a key piece that wasn't there because in the first few minutes, we did actually see that typical calculative Filipino style of gameplay of slowly taking map control, clean rotations. They were out-rotating Aloy. But the missing piece there was their core just didn't seem to be farming as quickly as he needed to be. I feel like Renix K, while he was like there, wasn't really part of team fights, nor was he really maximizing his farm across the map, and Gusta Lagusta was able to do that instead, so making up entirely for the lead that they had lost.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues that I had, on top of the fact that we didn't see the double wave collapses, we didn't see, you know, top and mid being absorbed at the same time. But let's look at the item build real quick, just to double confirm, right? 14.4k compared to 15.5k in a 21-minute game. Honestly, does it really matter? Not much. It really doesn't. I think that the item build so far definitely was necessary. Wait, anti-heal, anti-heal, anti-heal. That's 3 forms of anti-heal. 1 not on their way yet, and obviously not for the jungler. So, 3 anti-heals on the side of the Mongols. RRQ, Akira, how many do they have? 1 is missing out, 2 don't have it, 3 don't. Oh, actually. Yeah, 3 don't have it, so it's 2 to 3 ratio. I think that the Sea Halberd was probably unnecessary for Renix K.
Yeah, if Renix K was on the opposite side and playing against a Hylos and Barats, then yes, go for Sea Halberd, definitely. But it's not particularly tanky on the opposite side for him, so I feel like he could have gone for something else. It is definitely the cheaper option compared to something like the Blade of Despair, for example, but it could have been a Windtalker to give him a little bit more mobility, so he didn't really go in that direction. On the opposite side as well, I do like the choice that Sagan made to go for the Glowing Wand into the Divine Glaive, because the yin-yang reaction is mostly going to be popping on the Hylos and Barat, so having a bit more penetration early on is going to help more.
Yeah, I mean, even in terms of penetration, the Athena shields were already complete from Bankai's side, right? Inevitably, it really just boils down to, can Gusta Lagusta find a scenario where he can actually free hit these tanks without them able to pump damage backwards towards him. So it's good that he took the Quantum Charge to have that extra bit of speed to kind of move around them, dance around them. But Sagan in particular, I would have imagined that he goes for Impure Rage, but opted to go for just big burst.
I think it could make sense here, right? Because Mongols are going to be grouped up quite heavily. It's a front-to-back lineup, so yin-yang reaction is going to pop very often. So having that extra damage, again, to burst down the front line would help a little bit. I think Impure Rage could have still worked as well. It's just a little bit of personal flavor here. And since RRQ are more of a team-fighting lineup, they probably just want more damage.
Yeah, I don't know. Coming into this upcoming game, I hope that it's not 21 minutes, because it really feels like this back and forth between the Mongols and RRQ Akira boils down to who makes that first initial mistake, which so far, like, I get it. A lot of teams want to minimize the mistakes they make, but I am looking for a team who is able to force mistakes from their opponents, and that's what I'm lacking here.
Yeah, I personally feel like both of these teams ended up making a good number of mistakes throughout the game. RRQ Akira's may have been a bit more obvious, but I think the Mongols also made mistakes in playing a bit too passive, despite having a pretty notable lead and a good amount of map control initially, and not trying to capitalize on that more. Nor were they really punishing Gusta Lagusta, who was just getting the free farm the map.
To be fair, he is Claude. He does have Battle Mirror Image with the Purify to like guarantee he's not going to get picked off. But at the same time, I would like to at least force him out of the lane, you know, force that his current position and then look to invade the jungle, which is another thing that I've noticed. Again, very passive amongst the junglers. Like, you can definitely see whenever they rotate, the whole team rotates alongside with them. But my main issue is, why aren't they walking up into enemy jungle territory and then looking to contest a couple of the camps to bait a reaction from their opponent?
Yeah, they were playing it way too safe. Like, they were having clean rotations, they were getting really good pickoffs in the first few minutes, but like you mentioned, Gideon, we never really saw them go into the enemy jungle, steal buffs, cut off rotations. Right? You have the lead, you should be doing that. And even if you're not doing that, right, I wish that we saw Renix K try to face off against Claude more. You're a 1-1 at this point. You actually can kind of split push the lane a little bit. But MVP of game number 1 will go over the king on the Suyo.
Yep, no surprises here. Opting to actually go for some extra cooldowns with cooldown boots this time around, just to ensure that at the very least to kind of compensate for the recent nerfs towards Suyo with his overall cooldowns being a little bit longer in the earlier stages, and then eventually boils back to what it used to be in the later stages.
Wait, did he have a corrosion scythe?
Did he have a corrosion scythe? Ah, that's just to make him look cool.
Is it? I feel like I didn't see this in the screen before this. Did I just miss out on that?
Let me just double check that. I mean, he has
He
it.
did.
It's there.
How did I miss that on the previous screen? That is very unusual.
I think we saw the green and just assumed, yeah, that's a BOD, right?
Probably, right?
I don't know. This very first fight was very convincing, though. This was super surgical coming in from both the EXP laners, and the more that I think about it, the more I'm realizing that both of these teams have a lot of similarities.
Yeah, they want to try and take advantage of enemy mistakes, but I feel like in this case, because of that similarity, RRQ Akira was able to come out on top a little bit with that additional experience of being able to come back from a situation where you are at a deficit of, while the fights being very scrappy is not ideal, sometimes you just gotta make it happen to set up an open pathway so that your carry can open the road for the rest of you.
I mean, I don't know. I think I want to see a different side of both of these teams in the second game. Hopefully, we're going to see it